and welcome to another episode of The Jam Session Goes Underground. I'm your host, DJ Jazzy J, better known as Jaime Bennett. This is a special episode. I'm excited to have the guest on today's episode. Very excited. They're very, very talented musician, winesmith, you name it. They're extremely talented. So I'm very honored and delighted to introduce my guest, Jay Thompson.
Hey, Jamie, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on my show. I appreciate it so much. I usually ask about the same questions on every episode, but I do like to throw out an odd question here and there that you wouldn't be expecting. But what I usually start with is, when did you first start getting into music? Like, what was your first instrument that you learned how to play?
The first instrument I ever played was actually the trumpet.
Oh, wow.
In 5th grade, I got into playing the trumpet and got into band and everything. And that kind of led right into about 7th grade when I picked up the guitar.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. And I know you're really, really talented at playing the guitar. I've seen a lot of your streams, and you jam out on the guitar and you seem like you have so much fun, and that's what it's all about, is having fun.
Oh yeah, you got to have fun. I always say I'm just a heavy metal guitarist trying to play on these old wooden grandpa's guitars.
Well, it seems to be working for you. If you could pick any musician to play with, like to perform on stage with, who would that musician be?
I mean, I've always, in a million other interviews, I've always talked about how I love Pink Floyd, but right now I think actually I want to say Reinhard Burr. He's not so big. I mean, he's pretty big, but he's a South African artist he calls himself a loop artist. He has a Boss 505 looper, and I think he's got a couple other looping pedals, but he'll get like 7 to 10 different instruments together, and then he'll create a song on the spot. Just build it by looping everything together. I'd love to do that kind of stuff with him. That'd be awesome.
Oh, wow. Besides music, what are your other passions in life?
Well, I love wine. I like to make it. I spent about 5 or 6 years working at various wineries in Northeast Ohio, so I tried to learn the craft the best I could, and I still have a long ways to go, but what I've learned, I love it. It's definitely, there's 3 passions in my life: playing guitar, making wine, and then playing around with editing videos.
I love editing, although sometimes it can cause a headache.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time.
Oh yeah. So you mentioned that you deal with wine, and I know that you do have a show that you host. Would you like to talk a little bit about that show?
Sure. There's the Red Bearded Wine Snob. That's another Cosmos Creative TV. So I started that show actually on my own YouTube channel back in 2018, and I didn't have all the hair back then, short-haired, but I didn't really have anybody. I mean, I had a few people helping me, but I didn't have the team like I've got now, and it seems like having that team behind me made all the difference. And so now I'm trying to relaunch everything, and the whole idea is to try and get around to all the Northeast Ohio wineries, try to do a tour, an interview, and a tasting with some of their wine, and try and get all the wineries promoted. And then anytime I mess around with my own wine that I make, I'll try to videotape that too and show you guys what I'm doing and explain the process the best that I can.
That seems like a very interesting thing. I know that your show is very popular, and I love it. It's a great show.
Thanks.
So what would be your dream venue to play?
My dream venue? Oh, man. I've always said I want to play in Red Rocks, Colorado. That it's with all the rocks around it, especially if you could play just after sunset when the sky is that deep blue color. I could die happily after playing there.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a wonderful place to play.
Mhm.
Like the scenery and everything would be great.
Yeah.
Um, so if you were a famous musician going on tour, and I asked this question of my guest yesterday, what snacks would you want to have in the green room?
Oh man. To go on tour with, probably I'd probably go with Hot Pockets. I'm
Choice.
trying to think of snack food. Really doesn't matter. I'm not that picky. Um, I'd probably request a lot of fast food. Actually, that seems
Yeah.
to be my go-to. I'd probably go for some Arby's or Taco Bell.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. Taco Bell's good.
Yeah, it's sometimes good.
Sometimes, depending on the mood, I guess. Um, are there any projects that you're currently working on that you can talk about?
Um, well, I'm thinking about starting up a new musical project. I just spent the last 2 years writing about 14 different acoustic albums, and I had this idea that I was going to go up to 25, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue all the way up to 25 with the acoustic thing, or if I do, I'm going to take longer to do it, and I'll just kind of go to it here and there. But I really want to go to that. I brought up Reinhard Burr. I kind of want to start something like that. And the guy that I'm another one of my friends that I've been talking to lately about video editing, and he's going to sell me a computer and a camera. He's probably going to help me out a little bit with that stuff too, as far as getting it recorded properly and maybe giving me some ideas for it.
That'll be great. That would be wonderful. It's good to have friends that can help you with that sort of thing, you know. That's why I started this show, is so that, you know, people can connect on a music level and we can help each other out, so to speak. Um, would you ever think about doing like van life at some point in your life? Like just go on the road, be in a van, and just travel all over playing music.
That used to be my dream about 20 years ago. I used to play in
Yeah.
a metal band, a couple of metal bands, and I was so into it. I booked all of our shows. I every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we were playing, and my goal was to get us doing that. More than just Northeast Ohio. I wanted to actually be like a major band touring everywhere. And well, then I joined the military, and then I got married and had a family and everything. And
Yeah.
now I'm at a point where I don't know if I'd really want to do the whole touring constantly thing anymore. It
Yeah.
it would have been a lot more fun 10 years ago,
Yeah.
but yeah, now I've got other dreams on my mind, and I'm happier just playing local.
I get that. I totally understand that. You know, I was talking to my husband like yesterday about something like that. I said, you know, it used to be my dream to become this like famous record producer, or like be in the movies, maybe as a sound engineer or, you know, background person. And that's not
Yeah.
really my dream anymore since I've become a mom.
Yep.
Your dreams kind of change.
Yeah. Yeah. Life
um,
is constantly changing. You look at 5 years back, 10 years back, compare who you are now with who you were back then. You're constantly changing.
exactly. Exactly. Um, I don't know, like I can't really think of too many good questions, you know, to ask, but I know that you know, you've been working on editing projects and you're working on your show, and I think that that's really neat that you're going from vineyard to vineyard, you know, that's it seems like wine and music go good together. Like that's something
Oh yeah.
that, you know, goes well together.
hmm
So the fact that you're a musician and you work at the winery and you know how to do that stuff, it provides, you know, a lot of experience, and you have more outreach. Like you have more people that you can, you know, get connected with through that.
Yeah.
But
The fun part is trying to connect all the passions and try and stick them into one somehow.
Exactly. You mentioned that you were in the Air Force. I was in the Air Force as well. I find that to be interesting. Uh, and you were playing guitar before you went into the Air Force. Did you get kind of like rusty while you were in the Air Force? Did you kind of get out of habit of playing?
No, I had a guitar with me the entire time. I
Oh,
made sure it was yeah, I mean, I growing up, I played my guitar all day long. Everybody says, "Well, how many hours a day do you practice?" I'm like, "All day?" Like it's not practice, it's I'm playing, I'm having fun. And
yeah.
like took it to England when I was stationed in England. I had it with me there the whole time. I actually think I had my guitar with me in boot camp too. I didn't have it in boot camp, but in tech school I had it. And then when I deployed to Saudi Arabia, I bought a three-quarter size guitar so I could have a smaller one with me, and then I had that one over there with me, and then I made sure I had everybody sign it, so everybody I was deployed with signed it,
Oh, wow.
and then yeah, the whole time I was in the military, I had my guitar with me the whole time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I I kind of gave up playing guitar when I was in the military at that point. Sad to say, but um I kind of got out of practice for a while, and I'm
Yeah,
getting back into it by playing the ukulele. I figure that that's how I can get back into it slowly, because the ukulele is just easy to pick up and strum and, and go on about your business.
yeah.
um I know that, like, you said you played the guitar, and then you said you played the trumpet. Are there any other instruments that you would like to learn how to play?
Oh, I'd love to learn. I'd love to learn violin and cello. I mean, I'd already be able to pick down the fingering of it, but to be able to get the hang of the bow and everything, I wish I had one, honestly. That's one thing I'd love to have down someday. I've messed around on piano a little bit, and I can after you give me like 10 or 15 minutes to mess around, I can pull off something that sounds decent. But at the same time, I'm by no means am I a piano player. I don't really know how to read the music or anything.
Yeah.
But that'd be a nice one to learn eventually someday too. But all the rest, like same with drums, I can play the drums after about 15 minutes of messing around. You don't want to hear that first 15 minutes, but after that, then I've kind of gotten the hang of the rhythm and everything, and I can do some cool stuff there as well.
Well, that's cool. Well, one of my friends, she poetically put it in a good way, I guess you'd say, like anything that you don't know how to do. And she was talking about dancing, because she said she wasn't very good at dancing. She said you just kind of gotta walk to the edge of stupid and jump right on it. And
Yeah,
that kind of has stuck with me. Like anytime I tried something new, like try to learn how to play a new instrument, and I feel awkward and I'm like, oh gosh, this sounds terrible. I always keep that phrase in my mind. I'm like, yeah, she's right. Walk to the edge of stupid and jump right on it, and you just got to do it.
yep.
um so like you said that you'd want to learn how to play the violin and cello and all that. That's really interesting. Like, the only instruments that I know how to play is like the ukulele and a little bit of the piano, a little bit of the drums because I did the drum circle. But what are your like musical influences? Like, what style of music do you prefer to play? And how did you come about doing that style of music?
The stuff that I'm kind of trying to get into now, I guess it's called post rock. And there's like I'll name off some of the bands. Most people have never heard of them, but like Russian Circles, God is an Astronaut, If These Trees Could Talk, all those bands they make. It's like almost like movie soundtrack music, kind of. The songs are very long. A lot of times they go up to 12-minute songs sometimes, and they take you here, there, and everywhere throughout because there's no vocals, so that song has to. And so some of the bands like Russian Circles is they're a little bit more of a jamming kind of a heavier band, and then other bands like If These Trees Can Talk, it's a little bit more mellow, just kind of relaxing music, and I love that kind of stuff. I think A Perfect Circle is also largely influenced what I'm kind of doing. How Billy Howardell, his guitar playing style, I kind of, when I pick up the electric and play some electric stuff on top of the instrumental stuff that I'm doing, his style is kind of what I'm going for when I play along to it. And then, like I said, in every million other episode, Pink Floyd has like ingrained in me from a child, you know. So that style has always influenced everything that I write in one way or another.
That's awesome. Like, I like folk music, but I also like heavy metal music. So you got,
Mm-hmm.
separate ends of the spectrum there. Like one of my
Yeah.
favorite bands is Walk Off the Earth. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're
Mm-hmm.
a great band to listen to. They're kind of folksy, but also kind of pop. And then heavy metal wise, it would be Motionless in White. I've said that numerous times. I love them. They're awesome.
Yeah.
But I can see that, like, a lot of people get shocked whenever I say that I'm a jazz musician, but I sing heavy metal. So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
What album would you have on repeat if you could only pick one album? I know that's a difficult question, and a lot of people have a hard time answering that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gone through that a million times. It seems like once you hear an album a million times, and then it's no longer as good as the first few times you've heard it. But I usually have a Tool album or a Perfect Circle or one of them on all the time. Like if you get in my car, it's usually a Tool album. I'd say Tool is one of my favorite bands of all time. But it's hard. I could probably get sick of that if it was the only thing that was in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, Pink Floyd, like I say, I've listened to them since I was a child, so I could easily go for one of them and probably be okay. Maybe. It's hard to just listen to one album only.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, especially if you have different, music variations that you listen to. Cause like
Mm-hmm.
some days you don't feel like listening to heavy metal. You feel like
Exactly.
listening to, I don't know, classical music. Who knows?
Yeah.
um, uh, you already said your dream venue, but what was your first like concert that you performed in front of people? Like what venue, and what was that like?
The first concert I ever played was at the Property. It was some kid that I knew in high school. I was back in high school at the time. I think, yeah, I was a senior. One of the other kids that was in high school, his mom owned a property out in the boonies next. I think it was right next to the freeway, and there's the big, huge electrical towers that go by. That it was had those things running through it. There's no houses or anything like that. There was just a driveway going back, and then after about seemed like a quarter of a mile, there was a little clearing, and they put a stage up, and everybody just referred to it. Well, the kid whose mom owned it, he referred to it as the Property, and like it was its own venue. And he's actually threw quite a few concerts back there. There was some pretty good ones back there. Um, the stage was probably a good 4 feet off the ground. It was a good sized stage. I mean, for being just this stage out in the middle of nowhere, and the crowds were, 50 people, nothing crazy, just, for us to all have fun at. And that was the first concert that I was ever at. And yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It was just a big party out in the middle of nowhere.
That sounds like fun though. Like, if I was a musician that was performing in front of people, I like quality over quantity. Like I would much rather have, 2 people really paying attention to my music versus like 50 people not paying attention to anything that's
Yeah.
going on stage. So,
And these
I
were all
think,
the people that I went to school with, all of our close friends and everything. So it was all the people that we wanted to impress anyways, all the people we
yeah.
wanted to have a good time with. A really good time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that sounds like it would be, better than a sold out stadium, because then you
Yeah.
can kind of communicate with your audience a little bit better. I
Hmm.
like personal personal surroundings. Like, you know, I used to be a jazz musician, and I've said that several times, but we wouldn't always have like a whole bunch of people at our concerts. But, you know, the people that we did have at our concerts, you know, would communicate to us and talk to us after the concert was over. And I really respected and appreciated that way more than if I had like 1,000 people in the audience and not a single one talk to me.
Yeah.
But
that's the best part afterwards, talking to the people after you play.
yeah. And was that your first paying gig, like your first paid gig, or?
But we didn't get paid for that one. It was just considered like a party, so
Yeah, well, there you go.
Nobody was really getting paid. Most of the gigs that we played at, if we got paid, it was like $50. But even at there's a concert club near us called the Cove, and it was a lot of fun playing there. There's 2 stages and everything, but even a lot of those shows we didn't really get paid for.
Yeah.
The life
You
of a
had
musician.
fun.
Yeah, it was all about the exposure and getting our music out there and having fun. At that time in my life, I was trying to get away from home and just spend time with my friends anyways. So I had fun just being there, just being up on stage. I always thought the stage was where I truly felt like I was finally at home. Like this is where I should be. And I lost all my anxiety and all my fear and social awkwardness and everything. That I forgot about all that. As long as I had a drummer and a singer and a bassist up there with me and we were jamming out, that's all that mattered. And I was just having fun for 40 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. I'm socially awkward, you know. I'm probably socially awkward in this interview because, you know, sometimes I get brain fog and I can't think of what my next question is going to be. And I'm like, but yeah, I can totally understand that. Like, I was very, very shy when I was in the jazz ensemble, but it's kind of like you become a whole different person whenever you get up on stage. Like, you know, my jazz instructor was like, you have to take on a different persona. You kind of like, if you're a nice person, you kind of got to be a little bit arrogant when you get on stage so that you don't get scared.
Yeah.
And that helped me with my stage fright. That and wearing hats. Like, I wore hats so I could not have to look at the audience. But yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, if you could do anything as a profession, like, it doesn't matter what it is, like, be, you know, a sound engineer for a movie or whatever it may be, what would your dream job be?
I know I said earlier that I wouldn't want to be a traveling musician, but I still come back to it. I think music is my life.
Yeah.
I also have this dream of having my vineyard someday, and I think that's one of the biggest things I'm hoping to accomplish someday.
Yeah. That would be a wonderful dream to accomplish. And like I said earlier, music and wine kind of go really well together. So like at your vineyard, you might have a stage for musicians.
That's actually what the dream is. I want to have it in the shape of, let's see if I can. There. Oh, no, where's the camera? Never mind. A U.
A U.
A U-shaped vineyard. Yeah, and in the middle of the U, I want to stick a big stage.
There you go.
This is a long-term down the road dream, but that's what I'm working towards.
It could happen, and I really hope that you accomplish that dream. I would like to see it come to fruition. That would be wonderful. I know that where I'm from is considered wine country, and they have some vineyards like that have stages, and, you know, folk singers will come and perform there, and acoustic musicians. It's really kind of nice, like, to be able to go to a vineyard on a Saturday and just sip some wine and listen to music. Is there anything else that you would like to promote or talk about before you showcase your talent?
Just like to bring more attention to some of the Ohio wineries around here. I know you can look them up online, so you can actually order some of their wines online. There's Marco Vineyard, of course. I have to promote them. They definitely. I know they sell wines online. I've helped fill orders a couple years ago when I helped work with them. The social awkward thing's coming out now. M Cellars is a great winery. I love their wines. every wine they make is awesome. So you definitely want to check them out. Ferrante's Winery is the one that I used to work at. And yeah, they've got a website as well. A huge list of wines, sweet wines, dry wines, red, white, you name it. Yeah, there's like 30 other wineries, so I'm not going to go on.
That's cool. Do you have some songs picked out that you would like to play?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Alrighty.
So one song that I'm going to play is called Campfire Crackle and Tree Frogs. I wrote this song about being on the island of Ghosts and Angels. It was a story I made up to try and think of my father who passed away 10 years ago in a happy way and not be so sad about it. So I thought about, well, the one party we all wish we could have is be with our deceased relatives, you know. So that whole album concept was to have a party with our Ghosts and Angels. So track 4 on that album is Campfire Crackle and Tree Frogs. Here it is.
Wow, that was amazing.
Thanks.
Extremely incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was awesome. Awesome. Um, you said that you have some albums. Do you have those available for purchase anywheres or?
No, I was gonna burn um, numbers 6 and 7 last year, and I couldn't actually come up with the money to do it.
Oh,
I was because I wanted to put them both together because it's through the darkness and into the light. Every album I ever make, there's always another album that it ties to. So
yeah.
I can't just release one album.
Yeah,
I have to release the whole set that it's from, so that way if people want to hear the whole story, they can.
yeah,
And
that's
that
so
makes it very
genius.
expensive
Yeah,
because I can't just release an album. I got to release 2 or 3. But
yeah, I can
you
understand that.
can find my first 3 albums on YouTube. Um, the Island of Ghosts and Angels is the name of the whole set, and it's the Journey of the Seven Seas, the Carousel with Ghosts and Angels, and the Grand Garden. And those are all on the J Thompson YouTube page.
Oh
I need to
wow.
get all the rest of them on there, but so many things to do.
Oh wow, I love it. That was incredible. Like you're so talented.
Thanks.
I wish I could do that. um, I was gonna ask you, like, with being in the Air Force, to go back to that, if you don't mind,
Hmm.
because question popped into my head. Uh, out of like all the countries that you may have been to, what was your favorite location? Like your favorite country that you were in?
Um, I'd have to say, well, when I was in England, I went up to visit Scotland. And well, it's hard to pick between Scotland. I also visited Holland for a little bit.
Oh,
Both of those countries were really cool to see. I'd have to say Scotland was so cool because it was super green everywhere. It rains almost every day there. So all the plant life is like the greenest that you could possibly think. Uh, I'm used to being over here in Ohio, and I thought the grass here was green. And when I
yeah.
got to England, I'm like, holy, this is green. I mean, this is really green. And then I went up to Scotland to visit, and it's like, wow, it's even everything is green here. It was such a cool country, and with all the castles and everything in it, um, it was a very cool experience. I wish I could go back over there again.
Yeah. I've never been overseas, but that area, I've always wanted to visit that area. It seems like it would be really, really pretty to visit there. Um,
Yeah.
Speaking of that, like I come from Southern Illinois, and I thought, well, it's green enough. We have pretty scenery or whatever. And then when I moved to Georgia, it was kind of like I walked or I drove from a black and white film into a technicolor film because like the grass is so green here because it rains all the time where
Yep.
I live. And I'm like, it's amazing the difference you can see. It's just
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
um Out of the countries that you've been to, which one had your favorite food, like if you got to try different foods?
Yeah. I didn't really get to try like a lot of the authentic foods from those places. I know one stupid little thing that I had to do when I went to all the countries that I went to. I had to try McDonald's in every country, and I noticed a difference in every single one. I mean, there was Scotland, England, Holland, Saudi Arabia, Canada, and then here. And yeah, every one of those countries, the McDonald's tastes different. The Coca-Cola tastes a little bit different. The meat and the fries, they all have their own differences. Probably I can imagine the fries probably different from the oil, but I don't know. They've all got their own unique taste to it. Um, but I guess some of the coolest restaurants that I've ever eaten at were over in England. I was there for 2.5 years, so
Wow.
I got to eat at a lot of really cool places over there.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Um, yeah, I can understand that because, like, you never really think about McDonald's having different, like, menus and the food
Hmm.
tasting different from location to location. But yeah, even like with New Orleans, like, I know that's in the United States, but
Hmm.
the fries there are totally different than like fries that you get in Georgia. And like they say that they're seasoned fries. I could get seasoned fries here in Georgia and they're not going to be no offense, nearly as good as the seasoned fries in New Orleans. So I can
Mhm.
totally understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a dream country that if you could go to any country in the world and have, it all paid for, where would you want to go?
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Yeah.
I think it's beautiful there with the mountains and the valleys right in between the mountains and everything. Just even in the wintertime, it's beautiful. I'd love to go there. I've always said if I could ever escape there someday, that'd be the place to go.
Yeah, most definitely. I've looked up prices of just, renting a house there, and it's
Yeah. Yeah. You got to reach some level of success for that.
yeah, it's kind of like deposit spleen here, and then maybe you can stay there.
Mhm.
Do you have any other songs that you would like to share with us?
Sure, yes. I got to switch guitars real quick. So, from the most recent album that I've been working on, that last song was written in Dadgad. This next song is in CGCGAE. Well, look at that hair, it's going everywhere. Jon Phipps actually introduced me to this tuning. I asked him one day for some alternate tunings that he was aware of, and he gave me a whole list of them. So this album is written totally in that tuning. I'm like 4 or 5 songs short from finishing the album. Ever since I started working, I've slowed down. But this song is called "Taking Pictures with Our Noses," and it was all about when I was out in Idaho, the last year in the military, stationed at Mountain Home Air Force Base. Looking out at the desert and the mountains in the distance, it's just miles and miles, and the mountains are all the way out there on the horizon, and it's this huge, immaculate looking picture that you wish you could take a picture of it and really capture that full beauty of it, but the picture on your phone doesn't look like that. It's nothing compared to what you're seeing with your eyes. So I was like, if only there was a way we could take pictures with our noses. So this song is called "Taking Pictures with Our Noses."
That was incredible. I really loved it.
Thanks.
I love your thought process. Like I love the thought process with all of your songs. If people were to gather anything from your music, what story would you want your music to tell them?
I want my music to help people get through a tough time. So I got all 14 albums. If I really should figure out a way to get them all online somehow, because every one of them, it has a different theme for people that are going through a tough time. The first 3 albums were people that, if you're mourning or you miss somebody heavily, that'll help you get through it and try and think about partying. Try and think about having a good time with them. I've got Through the Darkness and Into the Light. That's all designed to help get people through depression. I've got albums that get people through anxiety, social awkwardness, any situation like that I could think of. I really want to help people get through a tough time, because I think music is what helps people get through any tough time. And it doesn't have to be my music, but if it can inspire you to at least listen to the kind of music that will help you get through whatever tough situation that you're going through, that music saved me in any of my dark times in my life. When I lost my dad, all these times in my life, music has always been there to help me. And that's what, if I'm a musician, I think I should give back to that same music if I can.
That's an incredible outlook to have. And you're right, like music helped me through a dark time, because when I was 18, I was really depressed, and that's when I purchased my first guitar and I started learning how to play guitar, and
Yeah.
it got me through that. I was actually excited about something in life, and that was playing the guitar and learning all these riffs and
Yeah.
all my favorite songs, and being like, oh, if I do this, maybe that's an incredible outlook to have. What is your life's motto?
My life's motto, 42.
The answer is 42.
Try to be the best, the most decent person I can be. Try to be a good, decent human, I guess. Try to be humble. Just try to look at everything and be a good person.
Yeah.
That's all I can come up with.
Being kind is free. Like that's what
Exactly.
I always tell people. I'm like, it's not hard, it's not difficult to be kind. It's free, and people like free stuff. So you would think more people would work hard to be kind. It's whether it's like saying hi to somebody or asking how somebody's day is, it takes like 1 minute to be kind.
Exactly.
Like I said, I love your thought process. I love the titles of your songs. I like how you put them all together. And I love the fact that, you have this story to tell and all the albums coincide with each other. And I think that's incredible. I think that it would be awesome if more musicians did that. That would be incredible to have like a whole storybook of songs like that. It's kind of like poetry in a way. So I really like that fact. Is there any other things that you would like to promote, or any other songs that you would like to play?
Yeah, sure. I can play another one. I'm going to go back to my other guitar.
Oh.
Back to the Dadgad, which is probably more like C-Gad or something. A couple steps down, but I'm going to go back to that first album, Carousel with Ghosts and Angels. Yeah. I'm torn between playing Crack That Bottle or Carousel with Ghosts and Angels. Probably Crack That Bottle. Yeah, okay. So the way that album goes, I think this is track 6 on the album. We're having a party on the beach with the Ghosts and Angels, and we're gonna crack that bottle of wine, because in this story they can eat and drink with us. So we're gonna go ahead and crack a bottle of wine, play some music, and have a good time. There's a campfire. It's sunset. It's a big party on the beach. Here's crack that bottle.
Wow, incredible. I love how free-spirited your music is. I just love it so much. I could see sitting around a campfire and just listening to you play for hours on end. I love your music so much. Thank you
That'd be
so
a great place to play.
Oh yeah. That would be a dream to have, a circle of musicians playing around a campfire and telling stories. That would be awesome. That
I've
would
always
be
wanted to do a video like that with a handful of people sitting around playing. I mean, it's been done before, but just playing guitar, putting on a concert around the campfire, maybe having it lit up a little bit just so you can see everybody, but then just the basic campfire and people jamming on acoustics.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That would be a dream come true. I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing your music and talent with us. I really appreciate and I'm honored that you are on my show today. I really appreciate you being a guest on my show. And I'm sorry if I was like a deer in the headlights with asking questions.
Thanks for
See,
having me.
well, thank you for being here. You guys should check out his show on the Cosmos Creative Television on YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. He has an awesome show called The Red
Bearded Wine Snob.
Red Bearded Wine Snob. I always get it mixed up. I always want to say red-headed wine snob or something. I'm not good with remembering names, but you should check out his show. It's really awesome. Like, subscribe, please. There's awesome shows on Cosmos Creative Television Network, and Jay Thompson has one of the most awesome shows. You will not regret watching it. And thank you so much for everybody watching today's episode. We appreciate you so much. And until next time.